having a committee meeting from our chapter of CORE, Congress of Racial Equality, in Newark. I got to meet Bob. We met at one meeting, and that was it almost immediately. Well, life was certainly not dull.
And things that became important in my life, and I know if Patty became important in her life, was dealing with democracy and dealing with how public policy influenced groups even more than influences individuals, and that is a difference between a privatistic or capitalist kind of mindset and a socialist or collective kind of mindset. I wasn't brave enough to be a conscientious objector. There was the draft that was hanging over people's head. So I had joined the U.S. Army Reserves. I did my basic training at Fort Knox, Kentucky. And during basic training, I read in the paper that Corps was holding a workshop in Louisville. We weren't allowed to have civilian clothes. So I went in my Army clothes, and as a uniformed person, I was recruited by James Farmer to be the beater-upper of demonstrators. So I was the beater-upper of demonstrators. And was photographed beating up demonstrators in the Louisville Courier Journal. So the Army did their best to find out who I was, and they did find out who I was. I spent the rest of my time in the reserves, or not all the time, but a lot of the time filling out intelligence reports on myself. And of course it was dangerous, and you knew that it was dangerous, and you were disciplined to be careful for your life and to drive very carefully. So it's an integrated group to start with, so that raised issues. But it was an absolutely unforgettable and marvelous experience. And we spent time with one family whose 14-year-old wanted to be involved as an activist, and the parents were reluctant about it. When the SNCC workers were then dealing with the parents and explaining the precautions that they were taking, but the importance of the children being involved in the movement. So it was just a wonderful, wonderful experience all the way. And we heard Dr. King in both in Atlanta and in Albany, as a matter of fact. So it was very exciting.
And today, together, we're going to fight and fight. We'll not give up. We'll not give up.
The war on poverty was a product of the civil rights movement and of the struggles and of the demands for participation. And it was a reform organization that had great significance in elevating the minority population to assume responsibilities and gain employment and achieve some political power. I think these are not insignificant. I know they're not insignificant things. And I benefited as a warrior, a paid warrior in Plainfield for many years through the Urban Technical Assistance Project and later in the Hispanic organizations in Plainfield, after spending 2 years in Trenton with the Puerto Rican Congress of New Jersey, and 2 years in Washington, and well, primarily in Washington with the Daycare and Child Development Council of America, where I was a lobbyist for the organization at the time of the passage in 1970 of the Daycare and Child Development Act of 1970, which was vetoed by President Nixon because it Sovietized American children. It was a very exciting period. Anyway, yeah, so is it, am I being videoed now or not?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay, hi, video. So I'm glad I got my little rant on that.
He is a devoted father and a devoted grandfather. The best wedding gift he gave me was giving me a sister. I had grown up as an only child, but I got a sister in that, out of this 50-year relationship. And all of our parents respected what we did, but my mother-in-law Sylvie used to say, "You guys are so much more interesting than the kids of our friends, our other friends."
I spent the last 15 years of my working life as the executive director of accountants for the public interest in New Jersey, utilizing the background to be able to promote accountants doing important volunteer work with community groups to facilitate further community development and important institutional power for the nonprofit sector, of which I'm quite proud.
Now I'm old, but not ready to go. I got to thinking what happened a long time ago. We had good kids, trouble and pain. By George, I'd do it again.
Listening to the urge to follow the moral imperative. Thank you very much.
So now we do swimming and we do water aerobics, but mostly we take responsibility for trying to improve the world. And I've been very proud of the role Bob's played in Occupy Fort Lauderdale labor outreach, in War versus Human Needs, in the struggles to end mass incarceration, which we've been very involved with. And I'm very proud of the role he plays.
It's really to get involved. It's really to get engaged. It's really to investigate your own values and try to implement them. I think that they're the important messages for the whole society. It seems to me that that we did the best we could with what we had. We would have liked to have done more, but we certainly waged a lot of struggles.
And sang a lot of songs too.
And sang a lot of songs too, yeah.
We've had girls before and we need some more in the industrial workers of the world.